How is Crawford going to be able to bridge this weight gap?
Yeah, I don't think he can, in all honesty. I mean, he might not be able to bridge it on Saturday.
Yeah.
So
one weight class.
68, yeah, but you're coming up from 35, 35, 40, 47, 54. Sooner or later, it's one too many. And 68 is definitely too many. But Crawford's brilliant. Like, he's a genius. He's a generational great. So maybe he can find a way to do it. But I feel he'd be hugely outsized against Canelo.
I think Canelo wipes the floor with him. I love Crawford. I told you when Crawford and Spence that Crawford would beat the hell out of him. But Canelo was a different proposition. It's an interesting fight, but I think there's
ways he could defy the odds because he's a generational great. But if I had to kind of put my money on it, I'd put my money on Canelo Alvarez to win via a stoppage.
The blockbuster showdown between
Crawford and Canelo Alvarez is held in 2 months, yet many boxing professionals feel Crawford is making a big mistake. Some of these professionals think Canelo has thrashed the American fighter in September. Hamza Shiraz is predicted to fight on September 13th in Las Vegas. He feels that there are weight classes a stoppage win for Canelo Alvarez against Terence Crawford in their fight on September. The division jump that Crawford will be making for this fight will be too much for his body to handle for a reason. And thinks Canelo has the edge over Crawford, opting for this fight, despite his weight gain.
Win by size, but for you, how does that fight play out?
I think Canelo does win by knockout. I think he does win by knockout, and that's only because of the weight. You can't jump up from 54 to 68 fighting the best, even though you're the best yourself. It's too much of a weight jump, man. But listen, you never know. You can't write off Crawford, but.
He's been cheating his career as a part-time fighter since 2020. You can only get away with fighting on a once-a-year basis for so long before it catches up to you. My perspective on that is number one. There are weight classes. Asked about his thoughts on Terence Crawford moving up 2 weight classes to challenge, basing it on their last performances. Canelo had a better super middleweight champion, Canelo Alvarez. There are weight classes for a reason, said Hamza Shiraz, to fight heights to challenge undisputed. And I feel like he struggled.
Obviously, this fight potentially even more relevant to you because of the weight class. The Canelo Crawford fight. How do you see that fight potentially going? Is that something you, in the corner of your mind, maybe like, down the road?
I see my kind of perspective on that fight is, I feel like number one, there's a weight class for reasons, and I feel like if we're basing it off their last performances.
He landed the cleaner, much harder punches in every round of the fight. Crawford threw many more punches than Madrimov, 433 to 275. You've got to remember, Canelo is a big dude. He's strong, said Shiraz. He knows he landed 11 more. He had Terence mentally tied in knots. He knows how to use his size, but at the same time, at that level, by going up 2 weights, he could defy the odds because he's a generational fighters like Crawford because he's so skillful. At that level, you can't write off fighters like
Canelo had the better performance, I believe, even though he had a negative fight in front of him. And I feel like Crawford struggled a little bit with Madrimov's physicality. It was very physical, and I feel like he struggled a little bit with it. And then you got to remember, Canelo's a big dude. He's a big dude. He's strong. He knows how to use his size. But then at the same time, at that level, you can't write off fighters like Crawford because he's so skillful. So him going up 2 weights, he could fight the odds.
But if I had to put my money on it, I'd put my money on it to be difficult for Canelo to knock out Crawford because he's likely going to be on the move for the full 12 rounds following the William ugly. I'd put my money on Canelo to win via stoppage, said Shiraz, with the Mexican star following the William Skull blueprint on how to go the distance with the Mexican. Bud doesn't necessarily have the big name win. Eddie Hearn has not only questioned Crawford's size, at least he also claimed a moral victory, but he also questioned his resume, claiming Crawford because he's likely going to be on the move for the full 12 rounds following the William ugly. But I put my money on Canelo to win via stoppage, said Shiraz. It's with the Mexican star following the William Skull blueprint on how to go the distance with the Mexican. Bud doesn't necessarily have the big name win.
But you have to use your movement. If you're Terence Crawford in that fight, the last thing you want to do is stand and trade. He'd be moving a lot in that fight, trust me. I'm not saying he'd be running, but he would be moving a lot. Of course, that's the way to beat him.
You know, the problem is with Bud, and I said this to him on the flight, I was winding him up. Tell me your best win. He's like Ricky Burns, that's what he said. Hearn added, Ricky Burns is my fighter, 3-division world champion, but I never got the chance to build an amazing resume because there's no one for you to fight. In history, Ricky Burns as an all-time great. You're telling me that is your best win? Finally, Hearn added that Bud could beat all the greats.
When I talk to Bud, kind of like he convinces me that he's going to win the fight because he's such a believer in his own ability and he's very convincing. And then you see the presser yesterday, and I thought Canelo looked really well. Do you know what I mean? Obviously he's a big lump, so I was always Canelo, and I sort of leant towards Bud, but now I'm back with Canelo.
Despite being the undisputed middleweight champion, Alvarez's lackluster performance against William Skull in early May that Canelo will knock Crawford out. Speaking with Eli Sekbak of Ez News, Reynoso made it clear that he sees a knockout as inevitable. So, Reynoso remains undeterred and is convinced that Canelo questions about his form.
Trainer Jeff Mayweather.
Even so, Reynoso declined to specify whichever round it may be, but we're going to knock him out.
Oh, Eddie, happy birthday to your dad. Was his birthday this week? Now, big fight September. Canelo Alvarez, the face of boxing against Crawford. What's your prediction? Vamos a ganar por nocaut. What round? El que sea, pero vamos a noquear esta vez.
Reynoso dismissed concerns surrounding Alvarez's underwhelming fight. Critics pointed to his uneven. Alvarez himself called the fight boring, having thrown just 152 punches. Fight against Skull, his unusually low punch output compared to Skull's 293. Believes Bud's best shot is keeping his distance and avoiding a slugfest with Alvarez. Some experts believe Crawford has a legitimate path to victory. Former trainer Jeff Mayweather believes while Reynoso is brimming with confidence, I hope September brings a different kind of fight. While Reynoso to his showdown with Crawford, Canelo promised, I hope September. Some experts believe Crawford has a legitimate path to victory.
What round they say?
Whatever round, but they're gonna win by knockout.
Crawford's a good fighter, great fighter, but Canelo best.
Es un tremendo peleador. Crawford es un gran boxeador, muy completo, pero ese día van a ver otro Canelo. He's a great fighter. Crawford's a great fighter, but that day he's facing Canelo.
That is true. Thank you, Eddie. Congratulations on the big win. Undisputed again. Thank you. Thanks,
Derek Bozy Ennis echoed this sentiment, saying that if Crawford can frustrate Canelo and control the pace, he could pull off an upset victory. Delivers the fans will be the real winners. British boxing icon
He's had over 60 fights, made a fortune. Why is he even still fighting? This is a super fight against Crawford. But it could go wrong for him. He could end up losing. Whoever loses, it'll be an upset because the amount of people that think Crawford's going to win. Crawford's certainly unbelievable bad boy fighter. We've got Canelo who's understuck.
Canelo is past his best. He's not motivated against fighters like that, running and keeping out of the way. Why would he walk into shots if he's winning on points? He wants an easy night's work. Frosch later added, Canelo is past his best. He's had over 60 fights, made a fortune, and it could go wrong for him. He could end up losing it. People that think Crawford's gonna win, and Crawford's certainly unbelievable. Bad boy fighter, proper good fighter, hard time.
My weight division now, super middleweight. How do you think the prime Carl Froch, prime Canelo?
I don't know. We need to see.
No, we don't need to see. What do you think?
Wait. No, I think West could be a good fight. Yeah.
12 rounds.
Yeah, 12
points. Split decision.
Maybe, yeah. We're never gonna know, but
we'll never know.
We can say will be a good fight.
Then you've got Canelo, who just understands the game inside and out. He's been in the ring with everybody, he concluded. When asked about Crawford versus Canelo, like Canelo 8, it has to be all at Canelo's rate, and Canelo Bellew was clear who he thinks will win. Canelo like pace. He's not going to get that way with Terence Crawford, and he's the first man to beat him. He deserves so much credit. I get why Canelo is the favorite, but all good things come to an end. And I just think Crawford will outwork him and will pot-shot him. And I think he will win on points. I'm wrong, and Canelo does defeat Terence. And by the way, if I'm wrong, I will give him all the...
It has to be all at Canelo's rate and pace. He's not going to get that way with Terence Crawford. I just think Terence Crawford will outwork him, pot shot him, and I think he'll win. And by the way, if I'm wrong and Canelo does defeat Terence Crawford as the first man to beat him, he deserves so much credit.
Bob Arum wouldn't have taken the question seriously if Terence Crawford would beat Canelo Alvarez. Even he didn't think Crawford could win against an elite-level fighter who displayed power and a granite chin on his way to becoming boxing's undisputed super middleweight champion Alvarez. Aaron promoted Crawford back then, yet even he didn't seriously if someone asked him a few knockout or a wide decision.
One winner would make the most. What? Because Canelo, Canelo is used to fighting at a particular level, and and I don't think that Terence can hurt Canelo, but Canelo can hurt him.
Crawford has been fighting better fighters, and Crawford has one big asset that Crawford has that these fighters don't beat Canelo, Aram said, and Crawford has the tools, and Crawford might start out fighting right-handed, but he's going to end up fighting him as a southpaw, and Canelo's not going to know how to handle that.
You didn't look motivated.
Alvarez that these fighters don't know how to deal with is that Crawford is completely ambidextrous, so they'll have...
And lastly, Bob, I believe you talked about it in some other interviews, but I just wanted to get Canelo Crawford. What are your thoughts on that fight? Who do you think wins?
I like Crawford in that fight.
Why is that?
I think Crawford is the better talent. I think he's a better athlete and a better boxer. And I just think he's going to win that fight. But it's a terrific fight.
Did something change your mind along the...
Although Crawford opened as a slight underdog with the BetMGM bookmaker man to defeat boxing's biggest star once September rolls around, citing Alvarez's recent performances and aging body as the factors for his pick. I was thinking to myself, I actually wouldn't be that surprised. And Alvarez didn't like those comments. We didn't have an argument about it. That night made me really think.
So you think UFC or I don't know. In Vegas, yeah.
And then football.
Yeah. So, but for me, I think championship boxing should be on a Saturday night. Always. Yes. Great fight. So we're going to announce the card this week. There's a huge fight for Andy Cruz on the card, and he's going to be a big statement to put him into a position to fight for the world title.
Anyone that has movement is going to cause Canelo problems at this stage. Alvarez versus Alvarez would be a huge favorite because of the size, but now I really see it as a 50-50th stage in his career. Crawford was first made. I thought that Canelo Crawford. Eddie Hearn, however, thinks there's one opponent to Terence Crawford. Honestly, I'm probably favoring Crawford. While he acknowledges the magnitude of Canelo versus Crawford, he thinks Jaron Ennis.
Unbeaten 140-pounder. One of our big heavyweights as well, Alexis Barrier from Canada, Zaquin Moses, Nishan, loads and loads to Pablo as well, King of New York. Tickets are going really well. It's a great fight. By the way, Hitchens is another guy. You know, I know he doesn't have the same profile as Boots and Shakur yet, but he's another brilliant, young, undefeated American fighter. And Kambosos is bringing a lot of energy to that fight, so June 14th will be a big night.
Speaking in a recent media scrum, he also reveals the fight that Boots really wants is Terence Crawford. And for me, that is amazing. I think Canelo Crawford is a great fight, but Boots Crawford, that's an unbelievable fight. When asked whether he actually 37 fight, I think win or lose, he retires after Canelo. Who knows that fight happening? Hearn said, probably not, because Crawford is what...
I think so, yeah. I mean, obviously we have to see if Boots fights Teofimo, but you know, I think he's in a great position.
Is that really getting into some serious?
Yeah. I think if Boots stays at 147, I think he'll fight.
He tried to
Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford never touched each other when they stood face-to-face Friday night at T-Mobile Arena following a press conference Sunday afternoon. The undisputed super middleweight champion claimed during the third and final stop on the promotional Arena in Las Vegas. Alvarez shoved Crawford the last time they posed for photos at Javits Center in New York. The undisputed because he aggressively walked for their fight September 13th.
Last fighters that you fought, they ain't on my level.
I fought everybody.
The last fighters you fought since
Everybody.
2002.
Mention me one. You mention me one elite fighter. Just one.
You.
Oh, me. It's gonna be me.
I don't care about nobody else.
He tried to walk me back, and that just was my reaction. Alvarez said while seated on stage. You know what kind of fighter I am? I always try to respect. And now before I respect his word, because he says, oh, I'm not going to let somebody tell me what I need to do. And he did. But you
will see that. So when I beat you, is you going to be a nobody? When I stuff a mud hole in your ass, is you going to be a nobody? Same everybody else been saying since I moved to 147, I ain't fought nobody. Every last one of them stump a mud hole in their ass and he gonna be next. Why?
Canelo
an incredulous Crawford do anything when he and Alvarez faced off for the second time in less than 48 hours. Turkey didn't ask me to do nothing, Crawford said. I didn't touch him. Listen, first...
I respect everybody, but if you fuck with me, so it's gonna be different.
Terence, is that true? Did Turkey Al Sheikh ask you to spice things up?
Turkey didn't